And when I'm sitting up here telling you, yo, use nature or netter. That's the ancient African word, the ancient Kemetic word. That would be more better than using Allah.
Says who? Says you?
No, it doesn't really say me. I just think that is I think it's better to use than to use their word.
I want Saladin to answer this. Go ahead.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
I think what's important to understand is that you meet people where they are. If a person has more of a Kemetic orientation, you should know enough about that in order to reach them where they actually are. If a person is more orientated around Islam, you should know enough of that in order to reach that person where they are. My enlightener studied under Ra Nephra Men before he started the Asar Set Society. This goes back to the 70s. My enlightener, who was taught by him, taught and he learned amongst the Sunnis so he could speak fluent Arabic. I lived in a house with Hebrew Israelites, and I'm talking about the 12 tribe Hebrew Israelites with the borders in blue and the fringes. I lived in a house with Hebrew Israelites when I was in college, right? So we study the science of everything in life. And when you're talking about like updating lessons and stuff, a lesson is an activity that you do in order to learn something. So we utilize our lessons as activities in order to not only learn something, but to also teach that. Let me give you an example. Give me a number, matter of fact, and I'll give you an example of the lesson. Give me a number.
9.
9. Okay. The 9th degree and the 1 to 14s. That lesson talks about why we give Caucasians an opportunity to clean themselves up and come amongst us. And that lesson deals with the science of Freemasonry and why that system was actually established. Now, some people may sit there and say, well, you should deny people an opportunity. They can never do this, that, and the third. But that's not on you to say what somebody is and is going to do. Because when you take a position like that, it has the potential to be a flawed position because a person can prove you wrong. So it's never good to say what somebody is or isn't going to do or what they know and what they don't know. They choose for themselves whatever it actually is. So that lesson was specifically created so that people have an opportunity to learn to do like others in terms of civilization before you assess or define what they are or what they are not. And that's important in terms of being a standard of justice, because you wouldn't be a just or a fair person if you denied a person an opportunity. You put yourself in a position where if they are denied an opportunity, it's because they denied themselves, not because you were standing in the doorway. Because if a person squeezes through that doorway based upon your denial, it proves that your sense of justice was flawed, and you never want to put yourself in a position like that. Now, some people would look at that lesson and say, oh, we need to update that. It's old and everything. Well, live long enough and you'll see the wisdom of what I'm actually sharing. If you want to be a standard of justice, if you want to be true, if you want to be a person that's fair, then you don't deny people opportunities. It's not your place to even do that. If a person doesn't take advantage of an opportunity, it's because they denied themselves, and they can never hold you accountable or responsible saying that you did anything to undermine that opportunity. Because if they can show and prove that you did that, it also shows and proves that there is a flaw in your sense of justice or your sense of fairness. And if you are striving, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You 7 on a hat, nigga.
Okay, pardon me. Yeah, so that's just an example of a lesson that is used to instruct us in terms of what you need to learn in life. That doesn't have, the only update that comes along with that lesson is what you learn from experience in terms of being able to share examples of how this actually works in life. So some of the lessons that we have may have a historical basis to it, but all of the lessons are applications in terms of how you navigate life, how you can utilize them to evolve. And it's not to dismiss anything else. We study everything that way. I study Kemetic science too. I study Hebrew Israelite science. One of my brothers that I taught lived in Dimona. He lived in Jerusalem. And I know other brothers and sisters that have different things that they're actually into. So we're not religious, and we're not just living life based upon, oh, I'm just going to study my lessons. We study the science of everything in life, because we realize that in order to reach someone, you have to meet them where they actually are and not have an expectation that they need to so-called get on your level or to reach you where you are. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So this ain't no competitiveness about what's more important, what's not important. When you look at the timeline, a linear timeline of the original man and the original woman as first world people, we've defined ourselves in many different ways since we've been on this planet. Sometimes we defined ourselves as Moors. Sometimes people define themselves as Kemetic. Other times people define themselves as Christian or Muslim or other different things. It's important to recognize the value and preserve the best part for ourselves, regardless of the geographic location, regardless of the language, regardless of our gender, regardless of our age, because there's value in the things that we've learned just from living this experience on this planet. And we got to get out of this competitiveness notion of this is better and this is more important. If my brother right here is a specialist in learning Kemetic science, then he's gonna be the one that is the best knower in that situation. And I'm gonna follow his lead to the extent of learning to lead myself, because he will be my enlightener in that capacity. If you're a specialist in another different area, then you're my enlightener in that capacity, because that's something that I need to learn, because I may come across someone that's more orientated towards what it is that you're into. I'm an educator in the city. I teach 6th grade and also 2nd grade. So I work with children that have learning disabilities. Right? When I'm building with them, I reach a 2nd grader in a different location that I reach a 6th grader. Right? But I'm also Human Rights Commissioner for my city. So in that role, in that capacity, I deal with my citizenry in a different way, because I have to meet each and every person where they are. I would be a poor plumber if somebody contacted me and said, I need you to do this, that, and the third in my house, and I just walked into their house and start taking pipes apart. You got to do a needs assessment first to figure out if you're the even person for the job. You might get there and find out like, yo, you don't really need no plumber, you need a carpenter. But you only do that if you do a needs assessment first and you reach a person where they are, instead of coming trying to tell them something that you think they need to know. I come in contact with people from all different walks of life every day. I'm not interested in trying to make them know 5% or something like that. If they're a Christian, then my responsibility is to help them become better at whatever it is that they're doing. It doesn't matter what it is that they're doing. If they come in contact with me, they should leave with some asset as opposed to a liability. So I'm not wasting their time, and I'm helping encourage and inspire and educate them to be better in whatever it is that they're into, not trying to make them what I am. And that is our approach in life. It's just like the master in the martial arts flicks. He's not walking around the village tapping people on the shoulder, asking them, do they want to learn this special mastery technique? He ain't doing that. He lives his life. People that really see them for what they are may come up to them and approach them and say, I want to learn this technique or whatever. And then if he sees that they're sincere enough, or she sees that they're sincere enough, they teach him. Okay. And that's our same exact approach. We live our life. We're not out here trying to debate or convince or convert or be missionaries. And if people see value in how we live, then great. You know, we'll share it with you. If you don't, that's great too. I mean, we're still going to be who we are. Peace, guys. Okay.
Well, hey, you know, it sounds like to me that, it sounds like you want to preserve the teachings of the nations of God's and earth. What you should, you know what I'm saying?
Please support and share with your networks our Atlantis School Renovation Project. Through a recently acquired property here in the city of Niagara Falls, New York, we are doing renovations to establish an early childhood learning center and after-school program for youth in our city. Despite students of color representing more than half the student population in this country, Black men represent less than 2% of that teacher workforce. So as a Black educator, my voice and presence within the lives of children is critical to combating family dysfunction, juvenile delinquency, and creating an inclusive workforce that ensures that all of our nation's students receive a quality, culturally enriched education, which consists of various projects, programs, and initiatives such as this cool animation series. This is not simply my profession, it is also my passion and my purpose. We would really appreciate your support and sharing this initiative with your networks. Thank you.